As the Nationals are expected to hire the next GM in just a few days, the Nationals have also had a lot of front office personnel leaving the past week, and I'm here to tell you, everybody, relax.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11, as I am the host of the Locked On Nationals podcast. I am your Nationals insider here as a part of the Locked On Nationals podcast network, where it's your team every single day. And later on in today's program, we'll have a discussion surrounding James Wood as he closes in on the all-time strikeout record. And honestly, it's kind of funny at this point, but we'll talk about that later on in the program today. And in the second segment, Jacob Young did it again. An incredible hacky sack catch, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the guy is incredible, but I've also got an off-season outlook on what he could be for the Nationals down the road. And could he be trade bait? We'll answer that question in the second segment of today's show. But we start off talking about some front office changes. I'm here to tell everybody, just sit back and relax. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And speaking of today, just yesterday, Brad Ciolek, who was a sexy hire for the Nationals front office at one point, has left to go to the Detroit Tigers. And this comes a week after another key executive for the Nationals, Danny Haas, has left for that same role with the Baltimore Orioles. So yesterday afternoon, Talk Nats reported that Brad Ciolek has left for the Detroit Tigers, and some people were ready to sound the alarms. I'm not one of those people at this point, and here's why. The Nationals have a completely new front office coming here to DC very, very soon. And yes, that means I believe that Mike DeBartolo will be out as the Nationals interim GM unless they do hire a president of baseball operations. And then maybe you have Mike DeBartolo running as the GM of the team moving forward. But I don't expect that at this point in time. I think reading the tea leaves, seeing Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek, two pretty key figures in the Nationals front office, leaving for other jobs around baseball with just a few days left in the season, it means that they expect someone new here in the building. But also, the flip side of that coin, maybe they just want to jump ship. Maybe they see the Nationals as a sinking team at this point with a directionless ownership group, as Barry Sfaluga wrote with the Washington Post. He had some key former and current personnel of the Nationals, whether it be in baseball operations or business. We don't know the details of who spoke out and who didn't, but they all said that there is no direction from this team, and that starts at the ownership level. Maybe it is that. Maybe the teams out there and guys out there, or just baseball personnel people out there, do not want to come to the Nationals because of this directionless ownership group. Maybe that is the case, but I don't believe that at this point. I do believe, now let's not get this twisted, I do believe that the Lerner family and the Nationals ownership as a whole, they are directionless at this point. There's a lot of muddied waters there. No one really knows what to do. And I do believe at this point, this is considered to be a pretty bad ownership group with zero direction whatsoever. But right now, I feel as if these people leaving the front office is as simple as this. There is going to be someone new coming in to make all the decisions for them. And if you really kind of look around baseball and look around sports in general, when you have someone come in and be your new boss that is coming to an organization or a company out there that is bad at this point, which is what the Nationals are, you expect changes. You expect to make sweeping changes across the board. Business operations, baseball operations, food operations, whatever it could be. The Nationals need to make a change. Whoever is going to be your next GM and or president, which I want to get into in just a little bit, by the way, they are going to make all of these changes for them. Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek, maybe not likely, but I would have bet that they would have been out of jobs with the new GM coming to town. I would have bet that they're going to want to handpick this, talking about this new boss in town. They're going to want to handpick their scouting director. They're going to want to handpick their player development director. They're going to want to handpick their assistant GMs and their scouts. There is going to be sweeping changes across the baseball operations department. So while watching all of these guys leave, it doesn't look good in the organization. I understand that. But also, I don't think this is because they're like, we got to leave DC. We got to get out of town. I don't want to be here anymore. And let's go somewhere else. Let's go to the Orioles, who have been a notoriously bad franchise. Let's go to the Tigers, who have also been a pretty bad franchise, but have simply turned things around over the past few seasons here. The Nationals, they're a mess. Let's not get that twisted when it comes to ownership. But this is not because of ownership, in my opinion. This is because you are going to have a completely new boss, a completely new GM and or president, and you're going to have a completely new philosophy moving forward. Things are going to change. And by the way, things have to change. I like Danny Haas, and I certainly like Brad Ciolek when the Nationals plucked him away from the Orioles. But right now, change is needed. I don't care who it is. I need a fresh start. You need a fresh start. The Nationals need a fresh start. Let's get into the structure real quick, though, because I think this is an interesting conversation because Ken Rosenthal did kind of allude to the fact that the Nationals are in search for not only a GM, but a possible president of baseball operations here in town. Held the title of both the president and the GM. If you look around baseball, it's more typical to have a president and a GM under them. Mike Elias was just actually elevated to the president of baseball operations for the Orioles. They are now seeking a general manager to hire this offseason, which may make things a little bit more complicated for the Nationals at this point. So that's certainly something to watch for as the Orioles head on with their search for their next GM here in town. But right now, I would love to see the Nationals go with that president GM role. But if you do hire that president, you better make that a big splash for this team. You better go big fish hunting here at this point. We all know, again, as we just talked about for the first 6 minutes of this podcast, we need change. The Nationals need a culture change badly at this point in time. Mackenzie Gore was on 106.7 The Fan last week on with Grant Danny. If you missed that, make sure to go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. But Mackenzie Gore, he even said it himself that, like, I don't think, and this is paraphrasing the quote that he actually had in mind, but he believed that front offices in the past, that number one, it starts up top with them, but number two, they have not gotten the most out of all of their players. He wasn't calling out Mike Rizzo, but also he's right. The Nationals have not gotten the most out of their top players. In fact, you look around baseball, you look around Luis Garcia Jr., he's got talent to be a good player. He is kind of plateaued and he's become like a 750 OPS guy, which is good, but I think he probably could be a lot better. CJ Abrams, I think he could be a star. He could be a lot better. James Wood has kind of fallen off in the second half. He could be a lot better this year. The Nationals in years past have not gotten the most out of their players. That does start with a personnel change. So seeing that and seeing the Nationals maybe going big game hunting here and trying to find that next sexy president of baseball operations hire, followed by a young GM who may have that analytical mind, who may kind of turn things around here in the organization, that's the kind of structure that I want. That is the kind of structure that over these next few days, as we kind of hone in on the next GM and or president in town, I want to see them hopefully kind of just open things up and open the floodgates of what could happen and get more analytics inside that building at Nationals Park. That is where it starts, in my opinion. Because the Nationals, again, if you're an everydayer out there, you know where I'm going with this. We have abandoned analytics over the years. It's time to catch up to teams like the Mets. It's time to catch up to the Brewers and the Cubs and the Phillies and the teams out there who have done this very, very well over the years. So again, to put a bow in this conversation, Brad Ciolek and Danny Haas leaving the organization, maybe not the best of looks, but as of right now, this is not indicative on this ownership group. This is a new sign of the Nationals are going to hire from outside the organization. There have been plenty of smoke surrounding that. I have not seen anything surrounding Mike DiBartolo being in the picture at this point. I'm sure he still is. He is a talented young executive. He is going to get a job elsewhere, in my opinion. But right now, the Nationals, they're going to have a new face of the front office. And it should happen within the next few days. And in my opinion, this is the absolute correct decision. And you're going to see a house cleaning in that baseball operations department. And honestly, I'm going to like it. So as soon as that happens, we'll have you covered right here on the Locked On Nationals podcast. But until then, continue to stay tuned in because we've got a Jacob Young conversation as he did the thing again yesterday. He is unreal. Unreal. But right now, what does his future hold here in DC? Let's tackle that after this. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and all thoughts, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. And that is why you give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And I started noticing less shedding when I started taking Nutrafol. I took just 3 pills a day with my meal, or 4 pills a day with my meal, and I instantly noticed a difference within a few weeks. I started seeing a lot healthier hair, less grease, and overall, it's just a simple add to my day. Just 4 pills with the meal. There is no prescription needed. It's that easy with our friends at Nutrafol. So see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And later on in today's show, James Wood is hunting down the strikeout record, the single season strikeout record, that is. And unfortunately, it might happen. So we'll have that discussion later on in the show today. And I'll tell you why. Don't be worried about it. It's not that big of a deal. So, in fact, who really cares? Let's talk about that later on in the show today. But I'm going to tell you about Jacob Young, though, real quick. Jacob Young did the thing yesterday. And obviously, over the weekend, he is the #1 most hated person in the city of New York and might even be in the state of New York at this point. You obviously saw, I believe it was the 5th inning in Sunday's ball game. He made an insane catch going up against the wall, kicked it up in the air. The hacky sack catch is what they are calling it. 9th inning to tie the game, or to potentially tie the game. He then robbed the home run in center field. 2 insane web gems and insane timing in a time of crucial need for the Mets. Jacob Young robbed them. And then his first game back yesterday, the day after he made those insane catches, he did the thing again. A line drive to center field, kicked off his glove, picked it up with his hand. Unreal catch. Jacob Young is an elite defender at this point. And honestly, there might be a Gold Glove case for him at this point in time. And it's not just from the recency bias. Looking at the numbers, again, Nationals fans know this. He is an elite defensive center fielder. Right now, he's got 14 outs above average, all in center field. That's a ridiculous stat in itself. He has a 93% success rate. And just by the way, who will have a better sizzle reel than Jacob Young by the end of this season? Baseball loves their web gems. Baseball tends to give their web gem players the Gold Glove. It is kind of a popularity contest at this point. Well, Jacob Young not really being a starting center fielder might hurt him down the road. I'm sure it will. But as at this point in time, there is no one in the game of baseball that I would take over Jacob Young roaming my center field, defensively speaking. We have talked about the flaws offensively. We have talked about, hey, he cannot simply be in the lineup every single day because he does not bring any pluses at this point as far as his offensive fielding or offensive situation goes. But right now, defensively speaking, he is a top 3 defensive center fielder in baseball. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And in fact, looking at the numbers, they simply back all of that up. Number one, he's got a 98 percentile range. That's easy. 97% fielding run value in center field. That's kind of like the WAR stat defensively, in my opinion. It kind of gives a good range of what you could be and what you are, more importantly. He checks all of the boxes, defensively speaking. He's got range. He makes the web gem plays. He makes all of the great throws out there, and he's got a cannon for an arm in center field. And also this, he's also under contract through 2029, Nats fans, which makes me lead to something else. What could his future be here in DC? Could the Nationals potentially try to trade away Jacob Young this offseason? If I'm the Nationals, I have a serious conversation about this. While I do think he has a Gold Glove case to make, you look at this outfield right now. He's not going to take over James Wood. He's probably not going to take over. He's definitely not going to take over Dylan Cruz. What am I saying? And he's not going to take over Dalen Lyle. And then also, you've got a pretty loaded outfield system down to the minors as well. I think the value of where Young is might be as high as it ever will be. And if you decide to hold on to Jacob Young, no problem. That is a tremendous fourth outfielder. You put him in defensive situations, and as we have seen the past few games here, he makes incredible plays after incredible play. The guy is a highlight reel. But I would seriously consider shopping him this offseason. I think a team out there, an analytical sounded team, maybe like the Rays or even the Yankees, or a team that is, ready to win, but maybe just needs that missing piece defensively, may look at someone like Jacob Young and say, you know what? If we can get him to be this slap hitter that bats 280, that gets on base at a 370 clip, we could work with Jacob Young and we can make him our starting center fielder, and he's going to be a Gold Glover there and one of the most premier defensive positions, and he's going to help this defense tremendously at this point. Right now, the Nationals, having him be your fourth outfielder, it's helpful, but how helpful? I like Jacob Young enough to keep him as a fourth outfielder, but also when you kind of put everything together here, you have 4 years left to control of someone who is a legit, one of the best defenders in all of baseball. Forget just center field, one of the better defenders in baseball at this point, who makes highlight plays, who can steal bases, who has 90th percentile speed, even actually higher than that. This is a valuable guy to trade for the Nationals. And some people are tired of this conversation. Some people are like, I want to keep my homegrown talent here in DC. But what's the value of having Young on the bench when you have a loaded outfield already with James Wood, Dylan Cruz, and Dalen Lyle has proven himself? There is no point, in my opinion. You have to trade Jacob Young if I'm the Nationals. You would get something back pretty solid in return. And watching him do that, sign me up for it. You saw what the Nationals just got for Alex Call, who has that similar timeline, who's still under team control for the next 3+ seasons, maybe 4+ seasons. Jacob Young is going to have 2026, 27, and 28, and 29. That's 4 years up to control for Jacob Young. That is very valuable for a team out there who has someone who is going to be very cheap, by the way, and also provides Gold Glove caliber defense. I think the Nationals could use that value and use it elsewhere. whether it be getting minor league prospects in return, whether it be getting a starting pitcher in return, maybe a younger, unproven guy, maybe getting bullpen help, maybe getting another second baseman or another outfielder. You could use that value and use it elsewhere. That is the smart decision, in my opinion. So right now, as we head into the offseason, and we're pretty close to it, we're just a few days away from the Nationals offseason at this point, watch out for a Jacob Young trade. I would not be surprised to see the Nationals continue to try and shop him this offseason. And I would not be surprised if a team is willing to give up something decent for him. Again, Alex Call. I think Alex Call is very underrated. I love Alex Call, one of my favorite Nationals of all time. He's going to be a great guy to talk about 10 years from now and be like, remember Alex Call? Love that guy. But the Nationals got pretty good return for Alex Call. I could see them getting a pretty solid return, if not even a little bit better than someone for a Jacob Young type, who is, again, one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball at this point. So seeing him make all these web gems, getting his name on the national market, do that, please. And hopefully, Jacob Young makes it another stellar play tonight as long as Dale Mile continues to stay out of the Nationals lineup. So keep an eye on for that, but also keep an eye out for James Wood, as he might break Mark Reynolds' single season strikeout record. And it's not pretty, but overall, I don't really care about it. I'll tell you why after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. For instance, last night I was watching that Monday Night Football game. I had a David Montgomery anytime touchdown. I also had a Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. And I also had a Lions moneyline parlay with the profit boost just with our friends at FanDuel. And I hit that bet. So I had fun watching football, but also having fun with football makes it a lot better if you're making money watching football. So if you're ready to play, you can download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, visit FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Again, go to FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, that is FanDuel.com. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So, James Wood, he is about to potentially get the all-time strikeout record. And I'm here to tell you, no one should care about this. This is going to be broken next season as well. James Wood is now 8 strikeouts away from tying Mark Reynolds' single-season strikeout record back in 2009. And I'm more worried about James Wood's struggles in the second half, and that's really kind of been indicative, in my opinion, of a pretty checked-out ball club. But also, I am just not here for the strikeout stats. Listen, having bad strikeout numbers is not good by any means. Like, I would much prefer my star players to not strike out all the time. But Mark Reynolds back in 2009 struck out 223 times. And people think of that like, oh boy, what a terrible stat. But then you also look at his numbers from that year. He batted 260, a 543 OPS, or 543 slug, and hit 44 home runs in the season. I could care less about a strikeout record. It does not mean that you are a bad hitter. It does not mean that you are anything but you strike out a lot. And guess what? In today's game, look at Aaron Judge. If he wasn't hurt, he'd probably be in the running for this. If you look around the game, plenty of people strike out a ton in today's game. I will put all my money in the world that next season, this record, if James Wood were to tie it or break Mark Reynolds' single season strikeout record, it will be broken in 2026. Today's game, the analytics do not care about how often you strike out. It's not a great look. And you would like to see your best hitters put the ball in play all the time. I understand that. But also with that in mind, who cares? It is not a big deal. James Wood, regardless of the second half slump that he has been in, he has had a tremendous rookie season. The 22-year-old, or I guess turning 23 here soon, has looked incredible. And even again, with the second half slump, I'm not here to say, oh boy, like, has been a bad player this season. Not at all. And you'd like to see that higher considering he had that war back in like June, but he's been struggling. The 22-year-old had a really bad second half of the season. Guess what? That happens when you're a young hitter. That happens when you're only 22 years old and when you're on a bad team, quite frankly, and you have no Dylan Cruz to protect you in the lineup. You have a slumping CJ Abrams in the lineup. You fire your president of baseball operations. You fire your manager with David Martinez. I do not care about a strikeout record. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for it. No one's rooting for him to set the strikeout record. Like, I guess it's going to be one thing that people will clown on for years. But beyond that point, it does not indicate bad hitters. If you look at some of the strikeout leaders today, you'll see a lot of good players. Like guys that I'm looking at right now that are inside the top 10 of strikeouts this season. Shohei Ohtani, pretty good player. I also look Hunter Green, pretty good player. Riley Green, rather, from the Detroit Tigers. Rafael Devers, pretty good player. Kyle Schwarber, insanely good hitter. Randy Arozarena, Cal Raleigh, having the best catcher season ever by a hitter in the American League. This is going to happen. I am not worried about it whatsoever. If he strikes out more than Mark Reynolds season, tip my hat to James Wood. Not the best of looks, but also not the end of the world. It does not indicate that, oh boy, this is a problem. Well, okay, it is a problem if you have the most strikeouts of all time in a single season. But I just don't really care about it too much. If James Wood is still hitting me home runs, if he's still hitting for a high average, and he continues to play solid defense in left field, that's what I care about. James Wood will be just fine. If he gets the strikeout record, so be it. If he doesn't, awesome. That's a great thing to kind of lean your hat on, or kind of lean on as the season goes on here for the next few days. So watch out for James Wood tonight. I assume he'll be back in the lineup. And how funny was it that he was not in the lineup yesterday? I bet you if he wasn't closing on the strikeout record, he probably would have been in that lineup, batting in the middle, and hopefully doing some James Wood things because he's got a pretty solid chance at not hitting another home run this season. If we're being honest, only 3 home runs in the second half since the All-Star break after having 24 in the first half. So that is what I'm more worried about. I could not care at all about the strikeout record at this point. So let me know what you think. Maybe you think differently about this. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy the Braves game tonight. It's going to be 90 degrees in hot Atlanta. Can't wait to watch some baseball. Have a good one. Go Nats.